Hello everybody. Give me 1 second to get the camera popped in and we will get started. My goodness. Okay. Just a couple things. It is just me tonight, so there will not be any Jeffrey background noise. There may be a cat. So my cat is currently sitting on the coffee table, but she's being rather clingy today. So all bets are off. She may absolutely hop up here. I'm gonna do my best to kind of control that, so just work with me there. And we'll talk about my wine choice for this evening, and then we'll get into it. So I am drinking wine from In Good Taste. I am not sponsored in any way. I am basically still trying to work through an advent calendar that I got obviously back in December. So this is a Marsanne. It's very often used as a blending grape. You'll see it frequently in French wine blends. If you're a Chardonnay person, apparently you'll love this. Weird, because I don't love all Chardonnays. I do like this, but the Chardonnay that I've had from In Good Taste was freaking phenomenal. And they do have like little side brands. So this is from the Wild Child collections. And it has a smooth finish with fruity flavors that pair well with shellfish. Super funny because I had 0 shellfish. I actually had tacos. And they were leftover tacos at that. So it was like not even high class tacos. Apparently quince, I'm not sure how you say that, mandarin orange, apricot, and acai are all tasting notes. Sea scallops and fettuccine are recommended. And apparently drink this with your nightly self-care routine. So I thought it was most appropriate for this because planning at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day is 100% part of my self-care. I 100% notice a difference when I'm not keeping up with that routine, whether it's taking a couple minutes at the end of the day. And I've really started focusing more on this in 2023, that if I'm here by myself and Jeff is at his house for the night, I love getting into bed with all my planners and taking the time to update them, because there's a good chunk of them, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, only because of the fact that I didn't realize until I was kind of starting to prep quarterly pages and think a little bit. I think just being off my consistent filming schedule and having the injury and the workload, I just got way off track and forgot that I actually have other planners that I show you guys now, and that's a new thing for 2023. So I super apologize for not talking about setups for April or anything like that. So we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. If for whatever reason I start to slip off and forget, please let me know. So yeah, actually we're gonna do that idea in reverse, because if not, I will possibly forget. So let me grab those. And we're going to talk about them again next week, because we'll be doing March flip throughs. But I just want to take a sip of wine, and then we're going to get into talking a little bit about setups for April and the fact that there's really nothing. So it's not like I forgot to show you guys something, but I do at least want to touch on them because they're still a part of my process. Okay, so scooching this off to the side just for a second. So just to show you my lovely tab, that was not what I meant to tap to. As you can see, nothing in March got planned because nothing in April is getting planned. So the reason that I want to touch on this and the fact that there is nothing and why there's nothing. I am a very big supporter in not going down rabbit holes. And okay, that's a bald-faced lie. I am not the type of person that feels the need to fill every single space for the sake of filling the planner. Because here's the honest truth. I don't have anything that I want to track on a monthly basis with my fitness energy, I can't talk today, and I swear to God, that's the first sip of wine I've had. So I'm super sorry about that. I used to use my monthly tracker in my main planner to track workouts. So the fact that I now have an entire space is bananas to me, and it's been great. And we can talk about this, you know, more so next week. But what's great is having more space, both on this side of the planner and having this open space here. For instance, this week, I actually decided to do like abs and arms after 30-minute runs. So it allows me to still have more space than I did before. It still allows me to change it up weekly. I'm not pre-planning. I know that I'm going to run 3 days a week. I'm going to have 2 30-minute runs and 1 longer run. That is the rhythm that I'm on. I'm now getting in the habit of saying, okay, after that 30-minute run, can we incorporate abs and arms a little bit? Because we're not exactly working on those groups. Once I feel like I've got that on a rhythm, then I really want to try to say, okay, can we get yoga in here 1 day a week? Like, it is a journey, and I feel like when it comes to fitness, that I've learned the best thing for me is to have a goal, but not plan to a granular level. Could I very easily do what I did in February? We'll talk about this in a second. Again, we're diving in a little bit deeper, but just in the context of, you know, again, that I did not mention these or talk about these last week when I would have done a monthly setup. I just want to give it some time due. I could just as easily write the runs, the strength, the calorie, like goals like that at the bottom of this. But the reality is that I know, and I've said this in past videos, I really want this this planner to go with me until the wheels freaking fall off. So in the avenue of getting all the jelly out of it and getting all the juice out of it and getting all the use that I can out of this amazingly gifted to me Hobonichi, I don't want to use space just to fill it. This is all in my brain. And the calories flat is in this planner. Supplements daily, I could probably do, I could do a tracker bar in here. I don't need to write in here right now. So what's great is maybe 6 months to a year from now, when I do decide that there's something worthy of this space, I will have blank ones that I can very easily. Coffee Monster Co. has super cute Hobonichi Weeks monthly planner kits. I can 100% get those, cover up everything that's here, and no one is going to be the wiser but me. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not a big fan of unused spreads. Obviously, I'm realistic and it happens. But I've also figured out that for weeks where I don't use this side, and like this is a good example, I will 100% use it. I'm going to carry over these bars and use this spread for any weeks that I didn't. So technically, to me, this could be 2 weeks worth of spreads in 2024. So the reason that I'm diving into this is just so that you don't feel pressured to fill every single space that you see, but also you're okay with your evolution and your journey. And I know that it is incredibly easy to get caught up in the Hobonichi pandemonium purchase, and not even just Hobonichi, like no shade, in the Hobonichi purchase and the planner purchase game that happened, you know, around Labor Day season, and as we all get really excited about the oncoming year. But to reframe it a little bit, like realize that there is, you know, reusing your old stuff. I definitely do it with an old bullet journal I have that I kind of abandoned. It's a really great place for me to kind of try out new ideas, do sloppy versions of things, and that way I don't feel like I'm wasting, you know, a journal that's half empty. It's a great space to, you know, dump and play with ideas. So I'm totally fine with that. if you were looking for permission not to fill every single space or continue using planners beyond a year, here's your permission. And I hope that that brings you some kind of comfort, because it makes me feel a lot better that I'm gonna have this super cute little planner. It also helps that the planner itself is super cute. So that is my big, long, nice, lovely rant on my weeks. My one on my budget is gonna be a lot freaking faster because I've done nothing. As you can see, I do have some cash envelope stuff. I don't have them all. One of the biggest things that I want to say about this is I am not actually actively planning goals. These two planners are new for this year. So back to what I was saying, you know, when people get Kokuyos to begin with or Hobonichis, the biggest encouraging thing that when people are like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, the very first thing that I tell everyone to do is just track what you're doing. Just track what you're doing. Because, and that is exactly what I'm doing in both of these planners. I am living by what I have preached. I'm just writing it down. I want to see what I'm actually doing before I get in the weeds of trying to create systems that make zero effing sense. I would not, and we'll talk about this, I feel like a broken record. I will 100% be discussing this when we talk about my cleaning tracker in this planner, because I started setting it up this morning and I already freaking hate it. And if I had had more time during my work day today, I would have restructured it. That will have to wait until Q3. And that's unfortunate, because probably if it weren't for the live stream, I probably would do that. And we might be able to tweak it a little bit, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But all this to say, I think it's really crucial to your potential, your planning, your journey, your productivity, the actual follow through, all of those things. I think it's super important that you take the time to track what you're actually doing right now, so that you're not just like shooting from the hip saying, you know, I want to work out 5 days a week. That is a wonderful goal to freaking have, but by all, and you know, I want to be on the budget of X. If you don't know what you're spending, then you don't actually know if that budget is attainable. And you know, I'm the first person to tell you that some weeks it works and some weeks it doesn't, and it doesn't have jack to do with my quote unquote spending habits. It has everything to do with how often I might need that resource. Gas, groceries, certain kind of groceries. Like, you got to start tracking what it is that you want to actually get granular with, what you want to make goals on, or else you're just shooting in the freaking dark, and that's no fun. And I don't think it does anything for morale either. I talk about this a lot when I tell people how I do my workout schedule, which is I treat Monday and Tuesday like a weekend days in my world. So Mondays and Tuesdays, I don't have to work out. This is most weeks. This is 99.9% of weeks. This week I actually did run on Tuesday, but that's different because I was actually home and I was remote, and that never happens. But the point being, for me, my boyfriend, that's not. Hi, Jay. Welcome. Sorry, I just realized if you're watching this backwards, I don't know. I think the chat does come up with everything. But lovely to have you. Thanks for popping in. I am doing well. My neck is super better. My workflow is actually starting to calm down a little bit. So we're getting in a good space for sure. I'm happy to have you here. If you brought a beverage, please tell me about your beverage or what you're working on in the background. I always love to hear that. But yes, back to it. So Mondays and Tuesdays are my quote unquote off days, and completely opposite of me is my partner. He is Monday through Friday, and he doesn't want to eat sweets Monday through Thursday, and he doesn't work out. You know, if he's going to do a workout routine, he's trying to stay on it, you know, like a normal, quote unquote, normal person. I'm on the complete other side of the spectrum. Monday and Tuesdays are my hardest days. They're when I'm in the office, typically prepping for clients, post-client work. That's when we have the most amount of our meetings. Those are the busiest days I have. And Wednesday is the first day that I'm remote, that I am in control of my schedule, that I am typically at home at a decent hour, and I can get on the treadmill for 30 minutes and get those juices flowing, and I can cook my own lunch, and I can meal prep, and I can do all of those things. Could I do that Sunday? Absolutely. But I have also realized that by the end of a Monday, a very hard Monday and or Tuesday, I want takeout. I want someone else to pour that glass of wine for me. I want them to clean up after me. I don't want to have to deal with it. So rather than fight an uphill battle consistently with that, he is very aware that is the schedule I maintain. Does it work every week? Absolutely freaking not. But we strive to do better every single week. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox of advice, trackers, all of that good stuff, and then we're gonna pop into quarterly planning. Oh, very fun, very fun. Those are definitely what those two planners were that I just had on the table. So those are I'm not at the stage where I'm setting up the budget or the health planners in any kind of a quarterly aspect. I have already started thinking of things that will go in them, like different goals I might want to hit on a quarterly basis. And some of them are in here, so we're going to talk about it, but they're not at the stage where they can integrate into that planner. When it comes to quarterly items, I do like to keep everything in one place, and that's why I love this idea book so much, because it lets me keep ideas, but it also lets me keep all the random things that don't exactly have a home in the books and keeps it from being all over the place. I am going to go ahead and take this out. Please don't steal my coupon code for Chewy. I'll be very sad because I have to order Binks' cat food later this week. So please don't do that. But we will go ahead and get into it. We're going to do a little flip of kind of quarter one, and we're going to talk about it. So any quarterly setup videos, we're also going to do a review of the quarter before. I think that's the cleanest way to keep it. I could be really efficient as a content creator and separate the two, and that would save me an extra video, but I feel like this style of planning is a little off from the normal because we are creating layout, so it's almost like a bullet journal thing. But another thing is that they do fluidly, go from one to the other, and I can compare and contrast a lot easier if it's all in one video. So here we go. As you can see, I did 0 zilch goose egg on my one little word. I can say I am enjoying develop as my word for the year. I feel like there are aspects of my life that can 100% be seen, and I am very excited about the months to come. And I definitely feel like I'm in a developmental phase of kind of laying that groundwork and creating processes and watching things I don't want to say take their time. I'm watching where I'm putting these stones and kind of looking back over my shoulder, seeing how those processes are going, and trying to be more conscientious of reviewing anything I've set up, I'm trying to find an example. I do feel like running is the good one, and I just talked about it a second ago. Again, I swear to God, this is my first glass of wine. I'm fine. I did work a very full day today. I got in at 8 and I did not leave until 4:30. So I did have a longer day than estimated. Okay. But the example I was going to use is the running. I decided that I was going to start training to run a marathon again, and I fell off in the middle of last year when I couldn't get tickets to the marathon I wanted to run, and I was really upset, and so I stopped. But I'm back on it, and so I run 3 days a week, 2 of which are 30 minutes, 1 of which is a longer run. The last long run I did was last Saturday, and it was 9 miles, and that is as far as I've gotten in that journey so far. I strive I make it a priority to make sure I get all 3 days in. And not only do I make it a priority, I make it very clear that it is a priority. And I don't mean in a selfish way. I run before work on my remote days, so I'm not inhibiting, you know, a work schedule situation, but that extra run is usually on a weekend when it could be really easy for me to not do it, or to, you know, just enjoy fluffing around with Jeff. I do make it a huge priority to say, I'm going to run and then I'm going to come to your house. Or and I run in the morning, so I have the whole rest of the day. Like I said, I just make it a priority in a self-care kind of way, not in a disrespectful, selfish way. And I am very grateful that he encourages me in that, and that he is really kind of excited to see how far I end up going and what the pace ends up being, because he knows I have like specific goals that I'm usually trying to reach with that. But that's the best example, because it went from running 3 days a week to I'm kind of granular on the run schedule. Like, I try to be under 13-minute paces, so I'm constantly watching that. But then now, as of this week, I'm trying to integrate an abs and arms routine at the end of every 30-minute workout. Nothing really long, like maybe 10 minutes, and maybe, 2 to 3 exercises per category. So 2 or 3 arm exercises, 2 or 3 ab exercises, and no more than maybe like 30 to 40 reps. Like, nothing outlandish, nothing crazy, but enough to give those groups some attention. And as I was saying at the beginning of the video, my goal is to, once I kind of get that schedule and it's natural and, we're plateauing a little bit, okay, cool. The hardest thing is going to be to get me to do yoga and actually take baths on my long run day to ease my muscles. And that's going to be the challenge. So it's kind of starting that work slowly but surely, but I can see where the development and taking a breath, taking the time, and being patient, but not lax, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to give up if I miss one of my days, because I even ran with the neck injury. Like, that hurt so bad, and I 10 out of 10 do not recommend, but it did hurt. If I obviously get a running injury, I'm not going to do that. I realize now that I've probably been yammering on for like half an hour with absolutely nothing planned, but we're kind of flipping through a lot. These were my Q1 goals, and as you can see, some were started and some were not. So just kind of hitting the high points, because a lot of these are going to get moved over, and some will just get, like the pay off 3 debts is going to be a lot like my monthly clean apartment goal is. It's always going to be there until the amounts get a little too lofty to accomplish that in a quarter. Or say during the holiday season, it might not be pay 3 debts off. It might be as simple as, staying on budget, because I'd like to have a Christmas budget set up. So that'll change towards Q4, because Q4 just gets really wild, because I'm a huge fall nerd, and that's when I travel, I Christmas shop. It's just a really jam-packed 3 months for sure, and I just want to be respectful. And again, this goes back to even the workout schedules. I'm not going to sit here and fight an uphill battle that I don't need to fight, that's unrealistic. I'm not going to create a goal of pay off 3 debts, when to me, it's just staying on budget. It's making sure I don't spend too much on my Florida trip. It's making sure that, I don't overdo it on Christmas presents, because I loved gift giving season. Like, it's having that self-awareness on both sides of that spectrum. No, I don't want to spend a ton of money, but I also don't want to create unrealistic goals that are going to depress me in the middle of my happiest time of the year. It's just as simple of, hey, pay off 1 debt and don't rack up any more. It sounds pretty simple. And I might be having a feed issue, so let me know if you're having an issue, because right now I'm getting a spinning ring of death on my laptop, which is how I'm able to view comments. So let me know if there's an issue for sure. I don't think there is. I think it's a laptop issue. Okay, so we're gonna go through the work. So Etsy custom is still an ongoing project. Refreshing my resume is just a task that I need to complete. Just so it's current. I've I've been in the financial industry now for several years, and it just needs a refresh, and I need to knock off some of the older stuff just to keep that current, because you never know what kind of opportunities are out there. And I now also have 2 licenses under my belt. So there's a lot that's changed. So to me, I think it's part of being in the financial industry where we're always constantly, or at least if you have a decent advisor, I hope that they're constantly doing that, where they're making sure all of your information is up to date. Like, are your estate documents up to date? Are beneficiary documents up to date? Like, are any name changes occurring? Keeping that kind of stuff in mind. It's not a bad thing. It's not a cause for alarm. It's just something I need to do. Reorganizing my desk area and deep cleaning. I don't want to talk about it. It's a scary place. Again, I'm really hoping that there's not an issue with this. This is really strange. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay, I'm not actually having an issue that I can tell. I just needed to reload my screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so YouTube descriptions I think is going to hang out for a while because I want to get those full. Researching life coach courses and prices. It's just another lovely license I would like to add. Reading this book. And I actually ended up shuffling some books around. A friend of mine and coworker, she gave me some books to read. And so I'm kind of bumping that one down the list a little. Finances, completing step 1. I did a slash because I did save to the emergency savings funds goals. That's hard to say. But the emergency savings fund goals, I saved to those, and then I did have some emergency expenses that happened, and some medical expenses that need to be paid, and some car expenses that need to be paid. So I used the emergency fund for emergencies. So now I need to refill it. So at the end of quarter 1, it was not where it needed to be. So it will go back on the list for quarter 2 for me to refill. I'm also adding in another level of, I want a bank version and a cash version. I talked about that when I originally set this up, and I was a little apprehensive, and I wish I had done it. I feel like it might not have been as depleted. That's just a person. I mean, the amount still would have been the same, but just shuffling things around was really stressful. And I feel like I could have prevented that a lot by having the 2 accounts. So with that, the way that the emergency savings fund goal is with the Dave, in case you're like, what the f is she talking about? Dave Ramsey has a debt snowball kind of debt method. I know that there's a better way to phrase that, but basically the first step is to have $1,000 in an emergency fund. That's not, it can be your bank account. It can be like your normal savings account. But in this particular case, I decided to start from scratch and just completely do the project from scratch and not take that money into account just for me. That's how I chose to do it. So I saved it, and then I used some of it for emergency expenses, and that in a weird way stressed me out. And I think I would have been less stressed if I had had even $500 in cash as a backup. I probably would have felt better about it. But I didn't. And that was just something I want to change in quarter 2. Cash envelope system. I put another slash because I halfway did it whenever, and this is directly correspondent to the first step. So when I had the emergency fund situation happen, I kind of pulled from everywhere to stay on the cash envelope system, and I was really scrambling, and I was kind of falling off the track, and it didn't go well there for a couple weeks. Nothing got missed. I did not make a payment. I'm fine. Everything is fine. But from a person who doesn't like to scramble in a financial situation at all, I was not happy with that. So conversely, we had an awesome X to check out, which is paying off 3 debts. That was super freaking exciting. So that was really, really, really nice. Now I'm trying to remember what the damn 3 were. What were they? Oh, okay. So I paid off all of the Shein items that I had because I'll often use Klarna for that, which sounds really random, but I do like Klarna for Shein specifically because they do have a partnership, but also because Shein clothes, whilst very cheap, very trendy, and like fast fashion, don't always fit correctly, well, etc. So I prefer to use Klarna rather than a credit card because it is attached to a card. It is fine. I will still get the points from that. But it's not an automatic out and then back in when I do file the return. It's on a payment system so that I don't have to sit here and track down like the whole big chunk of return coming back. I just need to manage, hey, I need to try everything on by this date and have it back before this payment needs to go through, which is a little weird, but it works for me, and that's all that really matters in the end. So I paid off all of that. My uplift was officially done, and that was from a trip that I had taken a while ago, and then my Kohl's card. So I was really happy that all three of those were paid off. I opted not to do the Body Boss tone program, so this is really I could draw a line through this because it ended up not even being applicable by the time I started Q1. I opted to purchase MadFit, and I like it. I need to go back to using it more. Create self-care day plan. Obviously didn't do. Patio garden, I have seedlings, so we've gotten somewhere with it, but I definitely didn't start them until April 1st, so I'm not counting it. And Wine Wednesday, I was hoping to do them February and March, as you guys know, and it only gets a slash because in my mind, I did not actually get through everything, and I did not do them in February at all. So, it gets a slash. A trip to Macon, which is my hometown, intentional activity with Jeff monthly, and tracking intimacy. So the trips funny enough, I came really close to Macon, which was funny. And Jeff and I have done some intentional activities. I'm just curious as to when they were, and were they all like condensed into like a certain time frame. So that's worth looking into, and maybe worthy of a slash, but definitely not a full X. Same with intimacy. I just really got off track with tracking it because it's still something new for me to track. How can we start a drinking game of like words that I say? We would all be drunk 30 minutes in, I promise you. Researching meetups and attending to minimum. I did a slash because I started looking into them, and then some of my interests have shifted a little bit, and there's a couple different avenues that I can take with that and that I'd like to take with that. And I think the attend to minimum a month is very attainable, especially if I go with one particular group. I will automatically have to because they meet twice a month at the new moon and the full moon. So I think that that's possible. And then a friend date once a month. That's really tricky because most of my friends live out of state. So I just need to be better about hey, we need to get a FaceTime on the calendar and just have our time. I never really created any other goals, so that really wasn't applicable. As far as the cleaning list, I 100% need to go back and track in March and a couple other April or February dates, because I did definitely get my oil changed in March. So I know that needs to be put in there. And obviously some of these things are done on a weekly basis. Like cleaning my countertops, cleaning my stove is literally a daily process. And this goes back to where I was saying I struggle with my cleaning list, and almost to the degree that I don't want to set it up today, and I really do want to dive back into it, and maybe we just look through it next week. I'm not completely ruling that out. Also, like some of these things are daily and some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly, some of them are once a quarter. So I really need to continue shifting that around, but it goes back to the same thing I said before. Before I get really granular, I want to see when it's getting done. So that's what I'm going to endeavor to do. we're not going to spend a lot of time on the expenses in the debt snowball page because my expenses is literally just a list of any and all possible expenses that could arise in the month. So whether I actually have a balance with that account or not, I keep it there, and I also write the minimum of what that would be at that time. Debt snowball. I am changing. I liked this setup, but it was so busy. It was so busy. And I had the best of intentions because what I wanted to do was put an X in the box for every time I got closer to that goal. And then unfortunately, that didn't work out for multiple reasons. It just got really confusing, and it also was not encouraging because for every X you checked off, it might be $50 to $100, but then you were looking at the balances of everything else, and that just wasn't encouraging. So we'll talk about how I'm restructuring that, but like I said, I've got a step 1, a step 2, other, and then total, and I didn't even finish setting up the spread. We're not going to talk about my budget necessarily. I've already started here, and that's kind of where we're going to start this journey today, because I am entitled to some small limits of privacy, so we don't need to go through like my messy budget plans. So the way that as you can see, I was smart enough to do a good chunk of this in pencil. And in, again, the avenue of let's use all the space that we possibly can. Since I had 2 extra pages before the gift ideas that I did set up in Q1, I'm just gonna use these. And I do need an eraser. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, this will be very simple. I'm not gonna use any washi for these spreads. I've done this style before, and I quite care for it. I'm trying to decide if I want to do it. Should I do it in black or should I do it in the gray? I feel like the gray could be really pretty. But April was already done in black. March and April. I made a mistake here and covered it with craft paper from like a takeout bag. And so of course that was super cute and I had to match. So really that's what happens when you got a mess up. You just cover it, it's fine. Okay, gray it is. I like that idea too. And this is a Signo DX, so these are 0.38, and when I got the moth jet pins, I got a couple different colors. So I got the khaki, I have the green, I have the Prussian blue. Is that Prussian blue? It's not the blue black. I think it's the Prussian blue. And then I also have a big box of the black, and then I have the gray. So, and I love them. So we're gonna do this. I'm also, I will draw over all these lovely lines, but I am 100% not stupid enough to erase. So I will let this dry over a few days, and then I will go back and erase any pencil marks that I see. And I'm sorry if I make anybody dizzy. That is definitely not my intent. But I am also, oh, I did definitely think that that was there for a minute. That was gonna mess me up. I am gonna contort this planner to whatever degree that I need to. I cannot control highway noises. I know I did not give that nice, lovely speech at the top of the hour. Some interesting things that I do want to call out, because I think this is really interesting if you're, especially Jay, because you're doing like budget tracking. So this is how I plan for my bills. So I get paid twice a month. 99 point, I get paid every other week. So typically it's twice a month, a couple times a year it's 3, but more or less twice a month. So what I do is one paycheck is considered like bills, spending money for the month, savings, all of that. Then the other check is rent, utilities, and typically kind of like emergency fund money, like if I need to squirrel something else back or, you know, refill a bucket per se. So I put obviously the 2 dates that I'm going to get paid, but one super interesting thing to think about is because I put all the other bills on one paycheck, I want to note when the next one's going to be. So in this instant, I'm paid on the 12th and the 26th, but I need to cover everything from the 12th until the 9th because that's the first paycheck I'm going to get in June. So I put the 9th here. Same thing over here. The 7th of July will be the next one. And this is super important because we're doing quarterly planning. So I'm not going to keep going and my bills may change as I set that up. That's another reason why I really chose to break down my budgeting on a quarterly basis so that I was having these conversations and I was looking at totals across the board. And remember, I also feel like it's easy to be like, plan for the whole year, but then obviously other expenses are going to come into play or filter back out. And I think that that's really important. So breaking your planning or breaking your budget down quarterly is a really good idea if you're really trying to pay attention and get serious with it. So May 12th is the first. I use a Pebbles date stamp. I just think it adds a nice little textural touch so that it's not all like super boring. You know what I just realized? That says 2022 because I stamped that on there this morning and I was doing some old scrapbooking. So there's that. Should I do green ink or like a sepia ink? So this is library green. I have other colors that I could pull out. I'm just pulling out like what's at my immediate disposal. And then I have the sepia. This might actually be really hard for me to see and or write over. I'm gonna try it, but if I don't like it, then we may just move on. Perfect. I will totally use the sepia. That is one of my favorite colors. Jeff doesn't make fun of me, but he does try to tell me if I don't notice it first, because typically I will, that when, like after a rainstorm or before a rainstorm sometimes, or sometimes just in general, like when the whole world looks like it's covered in a sepia filter, I lose my mind. Sepia, sepia, I'm not really 100% sure if I'm saying it incorrectly, but that is when nature like gets that tone and it really looks like it's just dropped all over the planet. I will just stare at it. It's kind of like how I stare at snow. Like I cannot, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever gonna be bored of looking at either of those two things. This gray pen is skipping, and when I used it with the March, I figured that out. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I'm really sorry. Yep, we've got some background noise that I cannot control. That is the loudest car radio on planet Earth. If these lists are the same, then I might erase this out so that I'm not writing directly over it. And I think they are. Okay, they are. So I'm gonna erase all this out. Could I be using like a better eraser? Yes. Yes, I could. Anyone gonna notice? But me and Jay and anybody that watches the playback? No. Okay, let's go ahead and get this marked in. Now, are you using like a sepia, like ink like this for your stamping, or are you using like a fountain pen, Jay? Just out of curiosity. June. Right. I really didn't think that I was going to set up these spreads on camera, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Okay, so they're going to be the same. So, yeah, we're going to see how bad the pen is really skipping now. Unfortunately, with these pens, I had this happen with an older green one. And I might just have to like order a new one or tough through this one. I don't know, because I really love gray ink. Oh, I love gray ink, sepia inks. I love like the Prussian blue. I love like vintagey colors or softer. Not that I don't love a good classic black ink, but more or less. I'm just, oh my God. 23. I am going to write this in pencil super quick. Why am I struggling to remember what that is? I have that written down. What the hell? Letha. I was like, what freaking Sabat am I forgetting? Letha 523. At least I'm pretty sure that's Letha. Quick Google moment. Yes. Cool. Okay. I have a ritual planner subscription that comes out prior to that month's actual okay, let's use English words. English is good. So for example, my Beltane box was charged on the 4th, no, the 2nd or 3rd, and it will ship soon, and Beltane is on May the 1st. It's May Day in some cultures. Letha will come the 23rd. So I think it's like every 90 days or something. So it's not exactly a monthly subscription. So I have at least taken enough care to write down all of the billing dates so that I know when they're happening, because that will be important. Letha is also like midsummer. It is correlated with that. You're using a fountain pen with Sepia ink. You went down a rabbit hole of pens. I have not gone down the fountain pen rabbit hole. I think for me, it has to do with in my mind, I associate it with it having such like a thick point, and because I write with a 0.38, and sometimes I'm like, can I get it finer than that? That I don't know that I'll ever make it down the fountain pen rabbit hole, but I'm not gonna never say never. But I'm sure you can, I'm pretty confident you can buy finer tips or nibs, I think is what they're called. But I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet. And I feel like I've got enough on my plate with just sometimes collecting pretty fine point pens. And definitely Coffee Monster Co stickers all the time. Okay. And even though all of these pertain to different months, I kept going back to the website and looking this up. So I thought it would be best to just get them all in one place. So the Letha will charge on the 23rd, which is really important to know in the planning of these paychecks. But it's good for me to also know there's technically no charge in June. The next one will happen on the next quarter. And that's another reason why it's living here, because those pages are not prepped and planned yet. So now I'm going to write this list right here. That's kind of the good thing about usually only getting paid twice a month, because 9 times out of 10, it's just the same list repeated month to month to month. And then things kind of can get really off kilter once we go to 3, because sometimes I decide I'm going to get crafty with that, and it's not always the best thing. You're also going to notice that I'm not putting down any minimum amounts, because my primary goal right now is to get the savings emergency fund back up to where I'm comfortable with it. And then I will start embarking on this, on paying off debts again. And when that happens, sometimes I up the amount paid to a certain card if I'm trying to pay it off. And that's kind of the premise of the Dave Ramsey outlook on it. I'm not sure if anyone's looked into him or his methodology before, but it's basically you take your smallest debt. So say your smallest debt is $25 and the minimum is 20, or we're going to work in really small amounts. So if your card balance is $25 and your minimum is $5, but you have the availability to pay the full 25, you do it so you can pay it off. And then in turn, the minimum payment from that card, so that $5 will roll upward to your next payment. So say the next biggest debt that you have is $30 and the minimum on that is $10, you would pay $15 towards it now because you no longer are using that minimum from that other card. So, or expense or debt. So I hope that that was a good way to explain that. So that is a big reason why I do not put minimums, because I keep the minimums on the expense list, and because we're doing this in a weird way, that page hasn't come yet. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of a longer video with you guys because we are hanging out and planning some longer winded topics today. So I hope everyone's down for that. We might have to take a break somewhere in there. Almost made it. Oops. There. Okay, I can erase all this because, as I said before, the list does not change. Okay. Yeah, Stationary Land is an expensive and beautiful place. Without like any doubt. And now I can't remember what the date was that I wrote there. Is it the 22nd? Wow. Like pushing my face all the way into that. $23rd? 23rd. Well, I am so glad that you're here for the longer videos as well, because I have no idea how long this is going to take right now. And Banks is inching her way this way, so we might have a lot of cat fanning in our faces here in a minute. Hopefully she's just going to get a cute little snack, and it'll be fine. Not that I don't love her, I just don't like sharing the desk with her when I'm in the middle of filming. I'm hoping that Shop Pay is going to be one of those things that is gone by Q3. I'm just putting that out in the universe. I can erase this because I don't need it, but I am going to use the 7th there just so that I know when I get started on the July pages what I'm working with. Okay, as far as gift ideas, I am opting to fill this out. I need to fill it out, I just haven't gotten around to it. These are all trips that I would like to take through the course of the year. Some are actually definite and like starting to get dates behind them. I really just need to fill them in. Obviously, by the time we start heading into Q3, they're really gonna get filled out because they would either be in Q3 or Q4. So I'll start that for sure. Now we are to the expenses and snowball method. I am gonna opt to switch my pen from gray to black just so that I have a very clean image, because it looks like my pen is being a pain in the butt and skipping, and I just really want a clear image of these. Another thing I do have to be mindful of is my battery. So depending on what time we go to, I will be keeping an eye on that. I know I typically have good enough to get to an hour and a half. So that'll probably be about where we have to make some judgment calls. I think having some of this pre-filled is definitely lovely, but we do have quite a ways to go. If I do have to hop off and charge my phone or handle that in any way, we will figure it out when we get there, what the game plan would be. And as far as the expense list goes, it is a list of anything that could be an expense. Mostly it's anything that has a balance regardless of where I'm at in that journey, but it's also the minimum at this point in time. It just lets me also kind of monitor what minimums are looking like for certain companies or carriers, or like if or when my insurances go up. It's all of those things. It's a great way just to keep a tab on how things are fluctuating. This list, so when I did the Q1 list, I didn't just do it wrong once, I did it wrong twice. I get better at it every time I do it, and that's why I also like to do the quarterly version now, because then I at least have 4 times a year to redo it properly. So in this particular case, I only messed it up once because I didn't put the Disney Plus ended up down here instead of in the rotation. And I do like to have my subscriptions in where they belong, but I'm also, you'll see like Coffee Monster Co subscription because it's quarterly, Ritual Planner because again, it doesn't have a date, and Patreon, I couldn't remember what the date was. So hopefully once we do Q3, I will actually have this joker set up correctly. If you can believe it, that would be really, really cool. And I'm sure this looks really, really messy. Doesn't it, kitten? But that's because it has the pencil underneath. What is it, ma'am? Yeah, with her big old fanny in the way. She's definitely a mama's girl, and heaven forbid we do anything without her. Lately, she's been making an appearance in like all the videos because she just can't handle it. But she'll like sit off to the corner for the most part. She just wants to feel involved, I think. My hand is definitely starting to cramp up a little bit. Okay, are you done with us, Muffin? She's so done with us. I really feel like I want to use a little bit of color, and I'm going to use these on the next page with the cleaning tracker. So maybe do a count. Okay, yeah, that's 10 blocks. So 1 block for every 100. Okay. I think another reason I really like setting up quarterly is because it gives me a chance to like change up the handwriting or the headers and play with different things. Like I kind of did this very like simple line, and I just like going back and forth between kind of a pretty like hand lettering style and very like simple. I don't know what I like different handwriting styles sometimes. That's what I'm trying to say. Wow, that could have been really bad. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is how do I want to do this? I don't even know that I like those alternating colors, but we're gonna roll with it. So 1, 2, 1, 2. I could probably break this down even further. Trying to go back and see. Okay, so the limit for this one is 200. So I'm gonna break that down into 50s. So it'll just be 4 little cubes. I'm gonna skip a line. Oh, I see what I was gonna do now. I was gonna do it under, not over. Oh well, I've started now, so we're carry on. So now we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for target, because the limit is 5 on that, and then chase. Okay, and then shop pay I think was also 2, or is down to 2. I'm gonna do 2 100 because I think it's down to that at this point. I think it originally started at like 3, but it's okay. And then for Chase, it's also 5. So this is super easy. So I just alternated. I've also gone ahead and written down like what card it is and what the minimum is, or what the auto pay is in Shop Pay's case, but I've left a space to write in the current balance. So I'm not going to fill that out on camera. I'm just going to leave that be, and I'll do that after. And then what I did, this is kind of going back to, so I don't completely have like guilt of not being able to always fill in or like X off extra things where it takes a while. Sorry, I made an oops, so I've got to cover it. I don't know, maybe I could. I made that work. Rather than feel discouraged that I can't obviously like X out big chunks every single month on every single card, because sometimes obviously you kind of just have to pay the minimum on that. It's no big deal. I decided that these are the 4 cards I want to focus on because they're the lowest balances. So I'm just going to be paying the minimums on these at this point, and that's okay. But there's no reason for me to have like a whole graph tracker type of thing and be stressing myself out with it. So I'm just going to write what the current balance is for all of these cards, because they still have a lot of room to fluctuate before I am 100% devoted to them. I am also going to put in a medical bill, and I need to find out the new total for that medical bill. So as sloppy as that is, I hope that makes sense. So we've got the account, which I need to double check, see what's in the account for Snowball for the emergency fund, and then start the cash account again. And then I'm gonna have a bar for each of the cards that I'm focusing on for the second quarter and just paying them off. My goal is still going to be the same, to pay off 3 debts. However, I'm putting a 4th on there just to give myself like a little challenge. So now we're down to the last 2 spreads. So these 2 spreads are going to be the cleaning tracker and my quarter 2 goals. So this is what I'm gonna do. I feel like it's gonna be super boring to watch me set up the cleaning tracker. So we're gonna try to do it, I guess, efficiently, but quickly. And I did have to do this in advance just so that I could get my spacing right. So I know that I put it to a poll. So this is kind of like middle ground, I guess, between having it fully set up and also doing pen to paper. This is about as close as we can get to that. I love how this whole spread, my 2s have not looked like that, and then this last 2 is gonna be that like really perfect. And same with the handwriting. But I really like that font and that style and how clean it is when it comes to the quarter one, like the quarterly goals kind of pages. And I'm also gonna kind of do the same for the monthly headers. I feel like I took up so much space writing some of these headers, and I really could have saved so much. And I'm still not 100% sure that this I know this is not the way that I want it to have. This tracking system is going to have to change between now and Q3. So we're going to walk through it a little bit so that then I can fill it out pretty quietly. So we've got counter, sink, microwave, oven, stove, Keurig, cabinets, fridge, and freezer. Okay, so cabinets. Again, not being super specific, and I would like to get more granular. So on a once a quarter basis, I want to wipe down my cabinets. Like, and I'm not talking about like dusting them. I'm talking about like getting out Lysol and wiping them down and getting all the guts and the goo and the random stuff. And I mean, just giving them the good clean that they deserve. No different than like your countertops. Like they need it at least quarterly. Also, purging the cabinets could be incorporated into that because I do have the tendency to stock my apartment cabinets full and forget about crap that's in them. So like that's what I mean. Like counters is a daily thing, if not like every other day. So putting it and trying to track like that check you did it during the month, I don't really know because I do try to treat it like a when did you last, but I might have to just start. I've also thought of kind of like the idea of one checkbox for every week. So if there's 5 weeks, then you get 5 boxes and you just make a check. So obviously the first check would mean week 1, the second week 2. That's a really cool way to do a tracker and not something that I'm completely opposed to. Oh, my handwriting got really weird there. Obviously, cleaning my oven is not a thing, and so I feel like it's bad to say oven and stove. Like, am I talking about the inside, the outside? I get really weird about getting overly granular and wondering what I meant by something because, and I do this with my tracker and like fridge and freezer. Again, am I talking inside, outside? What am I talking about? And I'm okay with kind of floating over a little bit in these spreads. It's not ideal, but I'm gonna have to be okay with it. If I had taken more time, and I think because I wanted to split some of these up differently or not even put them on here at all, we're gonna see a little bit of overlap in some weird places. And I may even combine some stuff along the way, like sweep and mop. I just put in one. And I'm actually gonna I'm gonna take out plants entirely because I just wanna put it on its own thing towards the bottom. So in a way to make sure I really don't stuff this up, I'm gonna go ahead and draw the, oh, she says as she completely messes up. It's okay. Okay. Let's see if we can try to salvage this a little bit. It's all right. I don't know that that really helped. What is she doing, people? Wow, this is going to be a nice, lovely, messy corner. and it's because I can't see. 1, 2. Like I can't judge distance. I'm not talking about like my eyesight is terrible. It is, but I can't like judge how many blocks because now I'm like, skipping lines. So I'm gonna leave that alone and let everything happen, but this is gonna be the bathroom tab. So we've got tub, shower, okay. I feel like I hate moments like this because I don't have any fun background music because the last time I did background noise was when I decided to play a film in the background and then they decided to flag my video and take it down because like obviously I'm not licensed. I don't own that video and that was really annoying. So there's that. So I'm gonna do patio and plants, baseboards, magic eraser, car wash, vacuum, and oil change all down here. And they're just kind of extra projects. And I know this looks really dicey and crazy and I don't know why my edges are turning, but we're gonna go through this really quite quickly because I am starting to worry about battery on my phone. So we've got counter, sink, microwave, oven, stove, Keurig, cabinets, fridge, and freezer. Again, some of these projects are daily, some are weekly, some are monthly, some are quarterly. That's what I need to break this tracker down to a little bit more. And I think I need to look at some more examples and I need to play with this a little bit. Like, do some of these need to go onto weekly tracker pages? Do I just need to I need to play with this. This is gonna take some work. Living room, sweeping and mopping, vacuuming, dusting, my couch. I have a craft cart, I have a bookcase. I also have craft cubes in my living room, console and a coffee table that have books on it, so they'll need to be dusted. And underneath the coffee table, there's like a lot of art supplies, so it'd be good if I was going through that more regularly just to start purging and keeping it clean. This bar is gonna be bathroom once I can get in there and do some work. So we've got tub and shower, toilet, sink and counter, cabinets, the litter boxes in the bathroom, and then mopping and sweeping. bedroom, vacuum, dust, windows, blinds. Not that I don't have windows and blinds in my living room, but it seems a little unnecessary to put it at both because I would probably do both all at one time. I do live in a small apartment, so it's not a lot. I think I struggle with some of these projects too because I would really love to do bigger projects instead of like menial maintenance, I think. And again, that's just going to take some time and evolution. I'll be okay. Cleaning is still good to keep on somewhat of a regular basis. So the tracker will still serve a purpose, but definitely an evolution of that will occur over time. Like I said, patio plants, because right now they're in my living room, but it is getting warm enough for me to get them on the patio. I'll also have the garden going soon. Baseboards and magic eraser are projects that have been hanging out for a really long time and really need some attention just because they are way overdue. And that will definitely be something that I do like once every 6 months, not even a quarter. So that's another list to be thought of as well. Car wash, vacuum, and oil change, I definitely need to be doing on a more consistent basis. I'm good with the oil changes, the washing and the vacuuming, because I am a procrastinator of those things. Okay, so last but not least, and I know I just don't, not that I want to stop short of finishing this page, but I do want to make sure we have enough battery to get through this like home stretch. So if I can get my crap together. I'm sorry if like half my head is in the camera view. Okay. I don't know what I'm thinking over here. This is struggle bus land for sure. That was really close, but I really didn't want to cut off their head. Okay. Again, getting that inserted right there and getting it to the edge where I am probably gonna have to cut off a little bit of the head. Sorry, little emoji. Okay, I did really like the Pen Pal kind of being a non-fountain pen person, I feel like this washi tape is gonna get really underutilized in my life. So I really wanted to enjoy using it for these spreads. And I am gonna do a little bit more with the Tombow, still using that 990. And really what I want to do is kind of convert over some of these Q1 goals that didn't get accomplished. So we're gonna keep the Etsy custom on the list. Bare minimum, I really want to put together a very concise timeline, both for the person that commissioned it and for myself. Again, a lot of these are going to seem redundant because they're either migrating over or they're being repeated. Okay, some of these are gonna sound really lofty. So marketing room and desk area are both two areas of the office that need my attention and need to be reorganized. The craft supplies is a vast project at my home, but it really needs to be done. I'm kind of also preparing for a possible move either next year or the year after. And part of that is really starting to go through my stuff in a more efficient way so that I move fluidly. And if things can be boxed up that are not going to get used in that time frame, they can. And also that'll lead me to question, do I really need that thing if it's going to be boxed up for 2 years? So those are things to consider and just things I want to start working into my goals. Okay, I know I had, there it is. I'm going to keep a little pencil board back there so that I don't lose out. Do I want to do the green, like kind of how I was doing it on this page, and alternate them? What is the next? I kind of like just the Tombow, like just this. Just this color. And then what I can do is go back and create like the bullet points in this green is what I think I'm gonna do. Or like make a little box for them. Okay, so educationally speaking, I'm definitely not doing life insurance again. That's wrong. Okay. I'm just trying to cover this writing up a little bit. And I can even elongate this a little bit. I know I've talked about that before, that is something I really love about the Signo Uniball is that you can write over it pretty quickly. Like it doesn't have the same smearing tendency that my Pilot did. So I do really love that. But I have also smudged it on camera. So I do try to at least let it dry a little bit or respect it. So, all right. So we're gonna be really redundant with this one and do complete step number 1. And I'm gonna do ×2 because that's essentially what I'm doing, is making sure I have I have double the amount. So $2,000 would be the goal. I struggle with this goal because okay, this is what we're gonna do. Prep Q3 for cash system. So I think also having an entire quarter's worth of cash in their envelopes would be freaking fantastic. but even starting off April, I'm still dabbling between the two, and I haven't got my hands around being completely back into the cash envelope system yet. So I think it would be helpful to just make sure I'm prepped to start off better for Q3. Pay off 3 debts. Next section is health. Having a no sugar, no alcohol month. April isn't going to make a lot of sense, and May probably won't, but June definitely has that potential. And I could kind of do them interchangeably. Like maybe in May I do a no sugar, and then maybe in June I try for the no alcohol. I've just learned that as I'm getting older, even though I'm not a big drinker, like I'm gonna do Wine Wednesday with, and we're going to hang out and have a really good time, but I'm also not, having an unhealthy relationship with it, which is important to note. I do probably have an unhealthy relationship with sugar. I'm not sitting down and eating a whole pint of Ben & Jerry's or anything every night, but I definitely feel like I have to have something sweet, and I feel like that is something that's like ingrained in me from childhood, just having something sweet at the end of a meal because you finish your plate. And so it's a lot of untraining, but I will almost be... I have an issue with not being able to concentrate sometimes, and that's terrible. Like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be reliant on that. So I need to kind of change my patterns, and it's worked in the past to do things like a smoothie or a piece of fruit. It's not that I haven't found easy ways to cope with it, but definitely whenever it's in the house or at my disposal, which it always is, because I would rather just have it in the house if I need it. But a lot of what I've learned through like even reading Atomic Habits, it's easier. It's going to be easier for me to deal with if I get it out, and I don't have appealing options in the house anymore. So that's just going to take some work. So again, doing no alcohol for an entire month would be a breeze. Making it through even 7 days without having something sweet, I would probably lose my mind. And my boyfriend's almost the invert of that, except for he's got a good relationship with alcohol too. We both do. Like, he'll have a beer at dinner, or I'll have a glass of wine, but we may only go out to dinner once a week. And then like if we cook a meal together over the weekend, we'll both have a beverage of choice. We're definitely in that stage of our lives where, drinking copious amounts is just not appealing, and we've grown up quite a bit, so that's not just on our radar anymore. But we are definitely the type of people that you gotta watch out, because we're gonna want to sit down and eat like the whole pan of brownies kind of thing. Like we're just kind of shifting gears. So we're just trying to have a better relationship with kind of the naughty foods of the group. I would like to this is awkward to say, like more consistent with supplements. And I don't really know how to quantify that. That is one thing I do worry about when I set goals. I try to be as clear and precise. So if I say daily supplements, okay, I'm already behind the 8 ball because I haven't been doing that in April. So that's a problem. So I'm gonna have to, and I could say incorporating supplements, but then I've already achieved it. So maybe that's something to think of for Q3, is just, and something also to start tracking in Q2. So creating a tracker in my monthly for daily supplements and just keep that top of mind. I'm gonna say run 3 times a week. abs and arms 1 time a week. Incorporate yoga 2 times a month. Again, this goes back to, I know I'm at a stage where I can start incorporating abs and arms 1 time a week. Whether it's at the end of a 30-minute run, I only have to do it once. I'd like to get it to twice at the end of both of those 30-minute runs, but that's where we're at. And then incorporating the yoga, I think saying 2 times a month is very attainable for the Q2 goals. Hopefully by Q3 I can say incorporating yoga once a week. That's where we're at. We're looking for progression, not perfection, and we're looking for constant progression. I don't think perfection is an attainable thing in any sense. And by the time you even, I feel like by the time you like start nipping at the heels of what you think is the perfect outlook, everything's gonna go topsy-turvy and you're gonna have to adapt. So there's that. All right, so next, the next category is going to be hobbies. And this is the sloppiest handwriting. I can definitely tell my hand's getting tired. Oh, that's so bad. I'm sorry, guys. That's really not pretty. I'm so sorry. That's kind of sad. Okay. So for making hobbies, we want to make, oh no, gracious. Again, I can definitely tell we're getting close to time for me to stop. Make pasta 1 time a month. So no, I don't mean like spaghetti. I mean from scratch, make the dough, roll it out, actually cut it out. I got a pasta maker that I didn't get a pasta maker. I got a pasta attachment and for my KitchenAid, no, I did not get the really expensive fancy one. Jeff got me one that will fit my KitchenAid that wasn't crazy expensive. But I got it for Christmas in 2021 and I pitched a fit about wanting it and I haven't even freaking used it. And then my coworker, she got pasta making stuff too, so she's been telling me about it and she's kind of been my crash test dummy. So she's like kind of like knocked a lot of my fears away. So I really just want to try to start making it once a month and playing with new recipes. So that's a goal that I'm gonna have for sure this month. And then honestly, like my hobby is this. So what I would like to do is, I'm trying to remember in my brain how far, I'm gonna say April, May, June. Where did I think week 12 is where I ended up. I'm trying to count weeks, so bear with me a second. 4, 8, 12, that would be March, and I definitely made it further than that. Okay, we're gonna consult the oracle that is the scrapbook. So that made it through April, the end of April. So May and June. Okay. So I'm going to do Q2 PL 2022. I have really fallen off with my project life for a couple reasons. And I've started talking about this in recent videos and I'm going to hit the high points of it. basically there's some like behind the scenes personal things going on, not even necessarily in my life, but in people's lives that are in the scrapbooks, where it is not respectful of me to be documenting certain pictures or times of their life with them in it. So I'm just trying to be respectful to those participants. So I need to kind of revisit how I'm going to do some of the spreads that include them, if I'm going to skip over them, what we're going to do, because I still want to be able to project life chronologically and film it. So I need to work that out and get back to it, because it's been like a full tilt halt since like the winter, and it's time to get back on it. I am going to do day in the life, which I'm going to write here, day in the life, week in the life, 2023, because I can do those projects without affecting those people and still deliver some project life content and get back in the groove. So those are going to be my hobbies things. My garden is going to start going, but, I don't really know when to expect production from that. So I would obviously like to make things and utilize those things, but I don't know what they are yet, and I don't know how well it's going to produce. So it's very unfair for me to put expectations on what that garden's going to do, because it is my first garden and it is on my patio. So there's that. Okay, so last but not least, there's still one more to go. I'm gonna do a very long line. Looks like we're gonna have to elongate this one a little bit. That's okay. So family partner. So this is gonna be a little redundant. I do want a trip to Macon, and I do want to get that done. And it's really not that hard to do. I just make it, I don't make it a priority. Intentional activity with Jeff monthly. We've already planned one. That's why I said we became more aware of it. And it's not that there's a problem. And I mean, he spends probably 2 to 3 nights a week at my house, and I spend like 2 at his. It just depends on work schedules. And since he's so much farther away, it's usually 1 weekday for me and 1 weekend day, and it's usually reciprocated. His office is closer to my apartment, so during the week it's easier for him to stay 2 to 3 nights a week. So basically that leaves us by ourselves like 2 to 3 nights a week, which is healthy for us. But it's super, and we do it up. Like this past weekend we had like a taco day, but we don't really spend days out like we should. And in March for my birthday, like we went to Ponce City, which to some people here wouldn't seem like a big deal, but it was like my kind of day, like the things that I want to do. And even though it was for my birthday, like it wasn't on my birthday, like it was just like something I was doing in conjunction with. And like we did Ostara together, and I was super excited because I kind of for of our relationship, I feel like it's been a little burn the witch, because, and with just reason and cause, his family's from New Orleans, and there's a lot of like hoodoo voodoo vibes about that. And so he never really had seen witchcraft or witchcraft tendencies through the lens of, I'm a good witch, not a bad witch. He had never really seen it through the lens of, I'm not over here sacrificing baby goats or anything. I'm legitimately like, I'm pulling tarot, I'm doing crystals, I'm stirring, and I'm cooking with intention, and I'm paying attention to the ingredients that I'm using in the recipes, like good energy out, good energy in, like intention, manifesting, just spending more time on my spirituality. And he had never really seen it from that perspective. So it's been a very educational experience, but he did end up getting involved in Ostara to the point that he decided he was going to cook lamb because I had cooked lamb. So that was really fun. Jay, your weakness isn't sweets, but it's chips. Yes, I definitely go through like savory sweet phases, and I feel like that's part of the problem. Like why I struggle even in the morning. I can't tell you how many times I've had pizza for lunch because I will bypass breakfast food entirely because I feel like some of the savory options just don't appeal to me, and I don't want to eat sugar for breakfast. I've gotten better with that, but so a lot of times it ends up being like a breakfast sandwich or a quiche, which a quiche definitely isn't better, and a breakfast sandwich can be just as fattening. So I put it all together. Yeah, my hand is definitely feeling it, and this is a lot of the reason why I was like, are you sure you guys don't want me to prep this in advance? So I feel like those two goals are really good, and the tracking of the intimacy, that just needs to be happening, and I don't necessarily want to write down a tracking goal for the same reason that I didn't want to put this the supplements goal up there, because I'm already not probably doing the best with that. And again, it's harder for me to justify tracking those things that I'm still used to tracking to. These are all things that I feel really comfortable that I can hold an attainable goal to, or I can hold a quantifiable goal to. Okay, so now we're gonna get down to the last thing. I'm gonna make it a little bit longer and hope that I don't have to elongate it out. Not that that's like the biggest deal. I might have to elongate it out just a touch. Okay, so friends and networking. All right, like I said, I have researched some groups to join. I want to continue that research, but I want to be able to have an idea by the end of Q2, because some of these groups do require payment, whether it's to be a part of a Patreon group, whether it's to be part of a business ladies group. Both of them will take money. I would like to do something crafty, and I would like to do something spiritual. So maybe having more than one group and making sure that that works in not just like a budgeting sense, but in a calendar sense. So I want to continue to research. And I'm going to go ahead and say choose for Q3, so that I know that I need to pick something by Q3 so that I can start being more involved with like-minded groups that have positive energy and cultivate those hobbies and habits that I enjoy. Not that I don't love hosting these and that this is also one of those platforms, but I'm looking for things that I'm not hosting that are more of like working out. So it's like working out those skills just like this is, but I'm not hosting it, and I am taking in more ideas beyond myself. And like I said, I already have 2 groups in mind specifically. that I just need to look into a little bit more and make sure that they would fit both with my budget and with my calendar. And I feel like there's something in my eyeball, which is really disconcerting. Okay, and I'm gonna say one, oh, my eye is freaking out. One friend date per month, whether that's a FaceTime, whether that's going to dinner with a friend of mine, whichever of those options works is fine with me. Unfortunately, like I said, most of my friends live out of state, but I do need to do a better job about nailing them down to some calendar times, and so that we can just like have wine and scrapbooking time, whatever that may be, getting more intentional about that. And because Q3 will start to see more granular towards planning Q3, Q4 trips, I will be in the works of, you know, maybe trying to plan something like trips to them or to me or to meet up. So those will kind of be important to start working towards those goals. I'm not going to do another tab because I didn't end up using it. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this cleaning tracker off camera. I feel like you guys have a good idea of what's about to happen. Again, this tab is going to be for the bedroom or for the bathroom, and then I'm just going to go through and put my lines in. I really don't feel like your quarterly setup experience is inhibited by me not doing that. I'll be going through and cleaning some things up, like elongating some of these tabs once that ink is dry, but we're going to do a quick flip back through what we've done. Obviously, I'm going to clean this up and get those amounts put in there correctly. And I'll be erasing out all of the really icky pencil that's hiding out underneath things. I hope that this was useful. I hope that you enjoyed it, as long and chatty as it is. Again, if you would like to see like the shorter version, certainly I can set up a good bit of this for Q3, and then we can just walk through the changes and have a nice lovely rant with our wine about that. But otherwise, I am going to call it a night. I just got an alert on my phone that the battery is getting super low. So I'm glad we made it this far. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. This was a very nice long 2-hour ordeal. It was lovely to spend time with you, Jay. Thank you for hopping on, and to anyone else who hopped in that I didn't see. You are so much appreciated for the support that you guys give. Any feedback is also welcome, and any ideas are also welcome. I will see you guys next week to go through all of the March flip throughs. I know we chatted a good bit about the planners, the other two planners, but we'll be doing exclusively Kokuyo Jibun flip through of March. So it will be much shorter than this video is, but fun nonetheless. Thank you guys so much again for hanging out, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye, everybody.